This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Good evening. Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bolinger alongside Running Rebels head coach Marvin Menzies, coming off what I would say is a pretty darn good week. 2 games, 2 wins.
We'll take it. We'll take it. You know, we're learning and we're winning. It's a pretty good recipe.
This week started out with a big one against Reno, and we're going to begin with that this time. We're going to go right to the highlights. UNLV rolled into Reno, and they made a statement. A sold-out and hyped-up crowd at the Lawler Event Center greeted the Running Rebels. UNR was without Caleb Martin, who was in a walking boot. UNLV looked to take advantage. First possession of the game, JoJo Mori, the corner 3, and he beats the shot clock to get things rolling. Then Shakur Houston with the spin move and pull-up, and the feed inside to Houston for 2 more as the Rebels took an early lead. JoJo knocked down another triple from straight away, and Amari Hardy gets to the rim for the lay-in and hits another as he falls to the ground. Off the UNLV inbounds, Cody Martin grabs it. He heads the other way, but Tervel Beck is there for the monster block. That would start transition. Mooring on the other end, and he gets the trifecta. The Rebs would run again. Beck is there for the flush. Houston, a beast on the offensive glass. 2 possessions with a missed 3, but Shakur is there to clean it up. Late in the first half, Mori gets a baseline jumper to go, and the Rebels went into the locker room with a 41-34 lead, and it was a stunned crowd in Reno. The second half was wild. The Wolfpack stormed back thanks to Jordan Caroline, who gets the bucket and the bump for Brandon McCoy's 4th foul with just under 16 minutes left, and we were all tied at 48. The Rebs will get it rolling again. Mooring to Jordy Johnson for 3. The dribble penetration through traffic by Hardy, and he gets the lay-in. And Houston works inside for the deuce. But Reno would stay in it. Off the turnover, Josh Hall gets the finger roll on the other end, and Martin would get an offensive board and put back. Watch the great UNLV ball movement to Houston, who finishes it off. Then JoJo from deep downtown, and he drains it. Big moment here. JoJo in the corner. He gets fouled. Heaves up the 3, and he banks it home and lets the crowd know that he's fired up. 6 minutes to go. JoJo gets his man in the air, takes a few dribbles, and then nails the jumper. That was a preview of this. Mori dekes his defender, draws the foul, and drains the jumper, and JoJo was in the zone. Jordy curls, stops, and pops, and then Houston throws it down as the UNLV lead was 8 with 3:41 left. Once again, Reno got back in it, and they tied it up at 78 on this 3 by Kendall Stevens with 2.5 to go. UNR, though, would not score again, and the Running Rebels shut the door. JoJo hit another jumper, and watch the hustle play on the loose ball as he goes flat out to snag it and call timeout. Free throws would seal it up, and it was time to celebrate a huge win as UNLV knocked off a ranked team, a rival, and hushed up Reno with an 86-78 win.
That means a lot, especially considering the fact they haven't lost on their home court probably over a year, I think. So, I mean, I just wanted to get the guys up for this game, and, I mean, they did a great job of responding. The effort we displayed tonight was probably our best all year, and we just got to continue to build on this.
JoJo Moore was just phenomenal in this game, and it wasn't just that he was making shots. He did a lot of little things, too. The impact of the game, diving for loose balls, making good passes. That's the JoJo that this team can really ride.
Yeah, it's the intangibles. You know, some of those things you could talk about as a coach, but it's hard to get guys sometimes to actually apply it on the floor, because those aren't, I mean, those are video sessions and film sessions. You could show some of that stuff, but that's your competitor in you. That's got to come out, and especially at big games. You know, a rivalry game's a big game, so we needed it to come out, and we needed it to give us another step to say, hey, okay, now we got to build on that, and I think we did.
Not to be lost in the shuffle there, the rebounding effort, especially Shakur Houston on the offensive end. Some key possessions down there, right, where he kept offensive possessions alive and goes right back up. That was huge in that game.
You know, those are those free possessions that you can draw up a set, you can have a continuity offense or whatever you have in design, But off of a missed shot, if you can just get it and put it back, it's like it's the same value, you know. And it's actually more because it's a little bit gut-wrenching for the other team to work so hard on defense and then give one up like that. So it's almost a double bonus.
We talked last week about getting the team to understand the rivalry and to buy into the rivalry. I think by the way they played and the way they reacted afterwards, whatever you said certainly kind of sunk in, and it definitely sunk in when they heard the chants once they got inside the arena.
No question. They were, I didn't want them to be shell-shocked, and so from a coaching perspective, you're looking at all of the details of what's necessary to win the game. What you can't coach is the emotion and the passion of the fans, the other team, their staff, everything. You have to just be honest with the guys and tell them and say, hey, this is what this game means to a lot of people. So, but again, it was one game. We got it done. Happy we got it done. But you know, I'm still 1-2 against those guys, and from my seat, and so we've got to just keep working to establish the type of program that can go in there and get these kinds of games from time to time.
Caleb Martin did not play in this game, but not a lot of people knew that, obviously, until we were close to tip. How much did that change the game plan that you had put in place in practice leading up to going to Reno?
A lot. He's a phenomenal player, and he's a difference maker. So when you have a scout preparation, you know, you obviously have to factor in how we're going to guard him. What can we do to maybe minimize, you know, what he's capable of doing? Because he's going to, good players are going to get there, so to speak. So when we didn't, when we saw that he wasn't going to play late, it was like, okay. So we had a quick powwow with the coaches, and we tweaked a few things, and luckily it worked out for us.
Well, as Coach said, a good win is only as good as winning the next one. That next one came on Saturday night. Wyoming came to Las Vegas, and the Running Rebels made sure that they did not get comfortable. The Running Rebels looked for a fast start against Wyoming, and boy did they get it. The cross-court pass to Tervel back for three. Shakir Houston with the baseline move to the rim. Then the spin move in the lane as UNLV opened the game on an 11-0 run. Jordy Johnson with the bounce pass to a streaking JoJo Mooring for the lay-in. And watch Mbake Jong with the steal off the inbounds pass. He heads the other way and throws it down. It was 19-2, 7 minutes into the game. Things were going the Rebels' way. Amari Hardy loses the ball, but it goes right to Chris Clyburn for the triple. Turnovers, though, on 3 straight possessions would help Wyoming go on an 8-0 run to close the gap. Brandon McCoy looked to stop it, getting the ball to free throw line. The spin move to the hole. Here gets the hoop in the harm. Then JoJo with the floater in the lane. And Houston with the offensive rebound and putback as the Rebs take a 45-35 lead into the locker room at halftime. Wyoming rallied and took the lead off this steal by Cody Kelly, and Hayden Dalton would clean it up on the other end. It was the only lead the Cowboys would have in the game. That's because the Rebels dug in and went right back to work. Houston responds with the bucket and the bump. Jordy nails a triple, and Clyburn follows with a trifecta of his own. UNLV would do it on D. Watch the big-time block by Houston as the Rebels built the lead back to double digits. They kept it there the rest of the way. Mooring curls around the defense to the hole for the lay-in. And Houston gets another bucket inside. He had 22 and 15. McCoy had 19 and 15 as the Running Rebels put in a workman's-like effort and pushed up in the standings with a convincing 85-70 win.
We threw our greatest punch in the beginning, and you know, it was about time that they came with a run and answered back, and they did a great job, but we just stayed together, stayed positive, and got the job done.
If we keep building off of, you know, something like beating Reno, the sky's the limit for us, and we're just gonna keep pushing.
Talk about throwing the first punch. That's about as good of a start as I think any team can have.
Well, we talked about that because of this team, Wyoming, and the respect we have for their ability to stay in games and compete and win close games, 6 overtime wins, and just the experience that they have. We knew that we had to get out to a fast start against them. We didn't want to have one of those back and forth games where you're relying on our young guys to outplay them, you know, in a winning time situation where you need to lead against these guys, and our guys responded.
The one problem, I guess, there were some lulls in there, and very reminiscent of when you play some lesser opponents early in the non-conference schedule where you get those big leads if the foot comes off the gas. Did that happen on Saturday night, or was it Wyoming just being effective?
Yeah, I don't think it was, you know, and I've heard that a couple times. Why? Well, being up by 21 or 22 at some point doesn't mean you're going to win by 44. It doesn't work that way. It's a game of streaks, and especially when your competitor is, I mean, they're in third place. They were in third place, so it's not like we were going against, you know, one of these guarantee games in the non-conference. This is a legitimate team with a lot of experience, and we knew they wouldn't go away. And they've been down a lot throughout conference and have fought back. So that's why our design was to give our maximum effort in the very beginning of the game and get that lead, and it worked out for us.
There was 2 big wins and 2 big games this week for the Running Rebels, and there's 2 more big ones this week. Straight ahead, we're going to preview games against Air Force and San Diego State, and Coach will help us break it down. That's in 2 minutes as the RebZone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
There are only 3 weeks left in the regular season in the Mountain West. Every game could have a big shift in the standings, and this week UNLV has a homer and a roadie. The week starts off on Wednesday night, where fans can take their Valentine to the Running Rebels and Air Force. On January 10th in Colorado Springs, UNLV took care of business on the road and put the Falcons away. The Rebs did a nice job dealing with the Princeton-style offense that Air Force runs and eliminated a lot of the backdoor cuts. This game always requires a lot of focus on the defensive end of the court. In the past couple of years, Air Force has given UNLV fits in games at the Thomas and Mack. The last 2 here went into double and triple overtime. This team loves coming to Las Vegas.
If you looked at my checking account, you wouldn't say that, as my wife would say when I come to Vegas. But no, we enjoy coming here. The conference tournaments here. UNLV is UNLV. It's a national name. Our players get excited about playing in the Thomas and Mack. And we've been fortunate to have some very competitive games with them.
You're going to have to get the checkbook out because this year you play them on Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh, my wife will probably make that trip with me.
On Saturday, the Rebels travel south to take on San Diego State, looking for their first regular season sweep of the Aztecs in 5 years. In the first meeting at the T&M on January 27th, UNLV outscored the Aztecs by 10 in the second half and had solid possessions late in the game to put it away. A game in which San Diego guard Trey Kell was injured early and returned to the bench on crutches. Before the season, head coach Brian Dutcher told us about SDSU's signature suffocating defense.
I think everybody knows that Aztec basketball is about defense and rebounding, and Justin Hudson, who was obviously an assistant here at Vegas for a couple of years with Dave Rice, and we got him back a number of years ago, and he's the central cog to that defense. Even though he's a coach, he sets the tempo defensively, and so I have great faith in Justin continuing the Aztec defense where it's been over the last 5-6 years, and if that happens, we'll win a lot of games.
But that hasn't happened this season so far, mainly because the Aztecs lack a formidable big man to disrupt things inside. That was apparent in the first meeting, but expect San Diego to have new wrinkles for the rematch. Then there's playing at Viejas, a house of horrors for many teams. If the student section, known as the Show, shows up, they can be disruptive.
The Show is huge. They're a huge impact to the game. Just the momentum. You know, they have their unique way of getting into the opponent's heads. Of course, that's really what they're known for. You know, everyone hates them. We know.
This game is huge for the Rebels for seeding as we head towards the Mountain West tournament. Let's start with Air Force. The fact that the team has seen them once already up there, how much does that help in preparation for Wednesday night?
Well, I think anytime you have that advantage of actually going against someone physically and knowing, their strengths and weaknesses and having been taught that in film, but then actually walk out and do it is two different things. Once you do it, you understand. Once we say once you hear, you forget, once you see, you remember, but once you do it, you understand. So now I think that understanding comes from both sides. So Dave's going to have his tweaks as well as Brian will on Saturday, and then we'll have to let the players go decide it on the floor.
And when you get to Saturday, and San Diego State's had some struggles of late, but it's really one of those games where you kind of throw the records out because it's tough to win in San Diego no matter what team you are. And you know that this team always kind of brings it up a notch when it's against UNLV.
They do. Well, every team, our guys are learning, every team brings it up a notch when you play UNLV. So I think the key now is to make sure that we can control ourselves, and we play the style of ball, and we play with the intensity and with the passion and emotion that's necessary to continue to grow. So once we have those, that foundation in, now the details can be tweaked a little bit, and you can do some things to maybe steal a few possessions. But the show is the show. I mean, it's real. It's a great environment. They do a fantastic job. They've grown that program. As you know, I was there for the first 4 years with Coach Fisher. I was on his inaugural staff. So, I'm proud of what we did there, and I'm proud of what that program has become. But unfortunately now I'm on the other side, so I can't celebrate anymore with them. I have to focus on the Rebels.
That's a 1 o'clock tip on Saturday. Time for us to switch gears. We're going to talk a little football. Head coach Tony Sanchez sits down with our Vince Sapienza to talk about this week's signing day. Who do the Rebels get, and what type of impact will those players have? The answer in 2 minutes. Stick and stay.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
This past Wednesday was the second of 2 National Letter Intent Days where players sign on with colleges. Our Vince Sapienza sat down with UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez to get his thoughts on the latest class to become Rebels.
Thanks so much, Kevin. National Signing Day has come and gone, and with me right now is head football coach Tony Sanchez talking about year 4 in the recruiting class. I guess I know it's hard to compare years past in recruiting, especially because we haven't seen them in the Rebel uniforms and on the field yet, but how good do we feel about this class as we move forward with this program?
We're really excited about this class. We feel like it's probably the most solid class we've had overall. We've had some special guys, Armani Rogers, Lexington. Every class has had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 special guys. We feel like overall, though, this class is a little bit different, and we're really heavily into the defensive line. Signed 3 safeties, a little bit more emphasis on the defense. Not more emphasis, but more players, more numbers in that position. And when some of those guys are going to be really impactful. But, we feel like as our brand gets better every year, we win more games. And every year we talk about getting closer and closer to groundbreaking. We've done it. So there's a lot of things that are creating momentum that are allowing us to recruit at a higher level. And I think this class is a reflection of that.
And, Coach, you've made no qualms about you need to get long and athletic, especially bigger, better on the defensive end, as we saw last year. Is that mission accomplished here today?
I really think it is. I mean, again, we got a great group of defensive ends coming back. Only brought 1 guy in, but the guy we brought in is a big, long guy out of LA. The D tackle spot, there's a lot of length in there. When you look at the 5 guys, that we brought in, I mean, they're long, they're big. They're not developmental guys. Obviously, we got to teach them technique and get them rolling, but physically, they're going to be able to come in and compete, which is a big deal. And we got longer at the linebacker spot and even in the receiving corps.
9 signed this past week, 13 back in December, bringing our total to 22 out of 25. I know you don't want to get these players, these young kids, their heads too big, but who do you really like? Who really jumps out at you out of this class that fans are going to recognize in a big way early on?
Well, again, when you look at guys, obviously every one of those junior college guys, we recruit them for a reason. You don't recruit guys to come in and, and just for depth. We're recruiting those guys to come in and compete. They're going to have to earn it, but every one of those guys. But out of the high school group, you look at guys like Chris Manoa. I mean, such an accomplished defensive lineman in high school. And then when you get to know him, see how intelligent he is, how much he understands the game. He's just a really evolved kid, and I think he can come in and be a really impactful guy. You know, you look at Patrick Ballard as a wide receiver. Can he crack into those top 6? Maybe. He's a big, long, physical guy. You know, so I look at Malachi Salou, and he's the guy that, I'll tell you what, we're so glad we're able to get him in, because with Farrell Hester coming back in the middle, there's not really that one guy behind him that you know for sure can do it. He comes in. He's a very active kid, 250 pounds, 6'1", runs well. He's got the traits that you need to be able to come in and play. And Tony, obviously, we'll find out here in short order. Spring practice is less than a month away, March 6th. How excited are we? You know, that's what we live for. I mean, you know, the recruiting part's fun. You know, you love all that prep and everything, but, you know, putting the whistle on, running on the field with the boys and getting after it and getting better every day fires you up. So I'm excited about it.
Tony, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations on another great class. Kevin, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Vince. And Coach, we're back to wrap up the Reb Zone with the Running Rebel Plays of the Week right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
All right, Coach, good luck this week. 7 o'clock tip Wednesday night at Thomas and Mack for UNLV and Air Force. We hope to see you there. Hope to see you next Sunday on the Reb Zone as well. We leave you tonight with the Running Rebel Plays of the Week. Good night.
Drop top Porsche, rolling on my wrist, diamonds up and down my chain. Cardi B straight stunning, can't tell me nothing. Bruno sang to me while I do my money dance like flexing on the gram like hit the Lil Jon, okay. Oh yeah, we dripping and finesse and getting paid.
Ooh, don't we look good together? There's a reason why they watch all night long. Yeah, I know we'll turn heads forever. So tonight I'm gonna show you off. When I walk with you, I watch the whole room change. Baby, that's what you do. No, my baby don't play. Blame it on my confidence. I'm blaming on your measurements. Shut it down on sight. That's right. Yeah, I hit tripping finesse.
The Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show was presented by RC Willey. Your home, your